lah, neonate ni kita panggil baby yang daripada birth sampai 4 months old. Kita panggil neonate. Okay. So mereka ni semua special. Kenapa kita kata dia special? Sebab mereka punya hemostatic system dengan immune status masih immature lagi sebab baru lahir lagi kan, okay. And then also they have limited ability untuk tolerate thermal alteration, suhu, okay. And also limited ability to tolerate metabolism alteration. So because of their speciality ni, so kita akan ada challenge untuk pediatrician and also our blood bankers untuk supply darah untuk baby untuk neonate. Okay, so we will go to immature coagulation. Kenapa dia terjadi immature coagulation? Because the newborn usually dia punya liver still immature. So bila liver immature, it will reduce dia punya coagulation factor production. Okay, then bila dia premature baby, dia punya coagulation factor will be more reduced. Okay, for baby yang dalam gestational age lagi, dalam 30 to 38 weeks gestation, usually dia punya coagulation factor will be about 20 to 50% of adult level. Bila dia masuk term, dia akan increase lagi about 30 to 95% of adult level. And then dia akan rapidly increase 80 to 90% at 6 months to 1 year old. And will achieve adult level by middle to late teen. Okay, masa dia teenagers lah. Alright. And then for the limited ability to regulate body temperature. Okay. Kenapa dia susah nak regulate dia punya body temperature? Sebab baby ni usually diorang ada high surface body area. So utamanya untuk premature dengan low birth weight, mereka ni lebih vulnerable kepada thermal alteration. So, seperti mana yang kita tahu, kalau blood yang daripada maksudnya cells daripada blood bank kita store at
tak dengar lah. Hello? Tak dengar. Aini. Mute. Unmute Aini. Aini termute tu.
If the core temperature of the baby less than 35 degrees Celsius, it will result in slow hemostatic response and also impact dia punya oxygen delivery. Okay, kalau lagi rendah, severe hypothermia less than 33 degrees Celsius akan menyebabkan hypotension, apnea and also arrhythmia. So that's why kalau in neonate, we advise them to use blood warmer if want to transfuse blood. Okay. Okay, for the ability to tolerate metabolism alteration, neonate usually they vulnerable untuk metabolism imbalance due to blood transfusion. As we know, dekat dalam kita punya blood akan ada anticoagulant that we call sodium citrate as our anticoagulant. So this sodium citrate will bind to the ionized calcium. So it will lead to transient hypocalcemia. So bila ada transient hypocalcemia dekat dalam baby ni, okay, baby prone untuk dapat seizure, jitteriness and also irritability lah. Okay, sebab ada electrolyte imbalance yang berlaku. And then the citrate also will undergo metabolism. Bila dia dimetaboliskan, dia akan hasilkan bicarb. This bicarb will further cause alkalosis dekat dalam badan baby dan akhirnya akan menyebabkan hypokalemia. Okay. Hypokalemia in baby usually dia akan manifest as ada constipation, fatigue and also muscle weakness lah. Okay. They also has immature immune status. Usually neonatal dia punya leukocyte activity generally reduced. So they unable to resist for any CMV transmission ataupun kalau ada transfusion associated graft versus host disease. Okay. So there are benefits and risks of blood transfusion in neonate. Ada pro and cons lah. Okay. Dia punya benefit dia yang kita tahu dia adalah can be the lifesavers in acute blood loss and also can improve tissue oxygenation. Okay, blood transfusion also may promote weight gain, reduce apnea, desaturation, tachy or bradycardia. And if we transfuse platelet prophylactically untuk prevent bleeding. Okay, dia punya cons dia, risk of blood transfusion yang kita sedia maklum mungkin baby boleh dapat infections. Infection maybe due to the bacterial infection or due to transfusion transmitted infection such as macam hepatitis B, hepatitis C, syphilis or HIV. Okay, and also transfusion reactions and blood transfusion always will have cost, right? So kalau kita unnecessarily transfuse the baby, it will increase the cost. Okay, blood transfusion also will cause pro-inflammatory response, can cause necrotizing enterocolitis, retinopathy, bronchopulmonary dysplasia and also intraventricular hemorrhage. Okay, we go to RBC transfusion in neonate. Okay, first we go to pathophysiology of anemia in neonate. Okay, usually kalau newborn baby, dia punya RBC will be reduced in their circulation in the first week of life. Dia punya, it is due to physiology factor lah. Dia punya RBC will be shorter sebabnya usually baby newborn ni dia banyak HbF kan, HbF punya hemoglobin. So this HbF hemoglobin will be destruct. That's why dia punya baby may have anemia during their first week of life macam tu. But in health and term baby, usually dia punya lowest hemoglobin will be about 9 macam tu at 10 to 12 week. Rarely become less than 9. Okay, postnatal drop in HB ni in health and term baby usually it will be well tolerated and required no therapy. Okay, so this is physiology anemia lah. Okay, for baby neonate yang preterm, premature, usually dia punya red blood cell will be decline more rapid compared to the term and health baby. Okay, HB will be nadir. Nadir ni maksudnya paling rendah lah, okay. HB will be nadir about 8 gram per deciliter for baby 1 to 1.5 kg. And then 7 gram per deciliter for baby less than 1 kg in their 4 to 6 weeks of age. Okay, in premature, mereka punya anemia will be worsened if they undergo many times of phlebotomy due to lab monitoring. So that's why dia punya anemia will be worsening. And then the HB nadir lower than term neonate and their liver is immature, so their plasma erythropoietin production will be low and that's why their liver less sensitive to anemia and tissue hypoxia. Maksudnya kalau ada anemia and tissue hypoxia, dia punya production of erythropoietin tu dia punya response tu tak sebaik yang term baby. So dia punya erythropoietin production tu still low despite of falling of the hematocrit. Okay, so this is anemia of prematurity. Okay, classification of neonatal anemia, kita boleh bagikan dia punya causes lah, depends on dia punya causes. Sama ada dia impact production of the RBC ataupun dia increase
many of the vaccines we received during the escapade, great immunity last time, tapi not so but not for all. Because some of the diseases like macam tetanus, diphtheria, kita kena the vaccine and the
sorry, tadi ada siapa bercakap ke? Sorry. Okay, saya terus neonatal anemia ni can be caused by the impact of RBC production, okay, ataupun because of increase dia punya destruction, dia produce tapi banyak yang dimusnahkan, okay, ataupun disebabkan oleh blood loss. So impact of RBC production usually because of the congenital disease lah. And also in case of prematurity, dia akan ada impact in RBC production because of reduce in EPO production and also reduce RBC lifespan. Untuk destruction tu lebih kepada hemolytic punya disease lah, macam hemolytic disease of fetal and newborn, autoimmune, RBC membrane disorder, for example spherocytosis, hemoglobinopathies or any infection. And then blood loss due to macam internal hemorrhage, example intraventricular hemorrhage, occult hemorrhage or iatrogenic. Iatrogenic is due to macam blood taking lah. Okay, so how can we prevent neonatal anemia in preterm? So we have to stick to our transfusion guidelines and also try to reduce the iatrogenic blood loss due to frequent diagnostic tests. Okay, so management of neonatal anemia, untuk RBC transfusion, kita punya guidelines for neonate very general and controversial. So it is usually kalau pediatrician, they based on their clinical experience and also consensus review lah. And it will vary widely among institutions, tak sama. Dari satu hospital depends on the pediatricians. Okay. Untuk target hemoglobin or hematocrit, previously standard practice in 1970s until 1980s, dia guna liberal approach, means that they aim for high hematocrit level. Okay, tapi because of concern of the adverse effects of transfusion, for example TTI and other transfusion reaction punya complication, so they now prone to adapt the restrictive approach. Okay. So there is a study done in 2011. They compared the outcome between restrictive dengan liberal. Maksud restrictive ni dia punya HB ataupun hematocrit target dia low berbanding dengan liberal. Liberal dia punya hematocrit target dia lebih tinggi. So they found that infants in the low hemoglobin threshold group, they receive less transfusion than those in high hemoglobin threshold group. So therefore dia punya exposure untuk infant ni lebih rendah untuk baby yang low hemoglobin threshold group, sebab dia less transfusion kan, so exposure dia kepada donor rendah. So infants in the low threshold group were transfused at a later age. Their conclusion from this study, there was no difference in the rate of mortality between the low and high hemoglobin threshold groups, and no difference in the composite outcome of death and serious morbidity at time of discharge, and no difference in the composite outcome of deaths and severe brain injury at hospital discharge. So maksudnya dia tak ada perbezaan pun dia punya outcome between liberal ataupun restrictive punya group. So therefore kalau macam ni sebab tak ada perbezaan, so better we choose to adapt the restrictive punya protocol, right? Sebab kita akan mengurangkan exposure of the baby towards the blood transfusion. Okay, this is example of the International Red Cell Transfusion Guideline. Okay, kita boleh tengok dekat sini most of their target HB lebih kurang sama lah. Okay, dan kita tengok baby yang dengan respiratory support, they target their HB target higher berbanding dengan no respiratory support. Okay. So this is our guideline, guideline from the guideline for blood and blood products punya guideline. Tapi ni yang lama punya lah, kita tunggulah nanti yang baru nak keluar ni kan. Okay, so ini saya ambil daripada yang lama punya guideline. So in anemia in first 24 hours, kita punya target adalah 12 neonate receiving mechanical ventilation. Okay, yang ada ventilator, target dia tinggi 12. And then for acute blood loss, kalau dia blood loss more than 10% of blood volume loss, so we have to transfuse. And then oxygen dependency, maksudnya dia pakai oksigen tapi not ventilated lah. Okay, so dia punya target HB lower, less than 8 to 10 gram per deciliter. Untuk stable neonate yang without oxygen, target HB much more lower, which is 7. Okay, so how much to transfuse? Actually there is a calculation macam mana nak untuk transfusion baby neonate. So volume required dalam ml equals to body weight times HB rise required times transfusion factor 0.4. So we advise for small volume transfusion, infuse slowly 10 to 15 cc per kg over 2 to 4 hours. Okay, untuk pre-transfusion testing for neonate, usually we will need sample from mother and also sample from neonate. So what we do from sample from mother, we will do ABO grouping, forward and reverse, RH grouping, antibody screening, and also cross matching. Means we cross match the sample mother dengan donor punya red cell. And then for the sample from neonate, we just do ABO grouping forward. Kenapa kita buat forward sahaja? Sebab dalam neonate, mereka punya antibody tu not fully developed yet. Usually it will fully develop until 3 to 6 months old lah, baru dia start develop macam tu. Okay, and then they will do RH grouping and also direct antibody test. Direct antibody test ni kita nak tengok sama ada red cell, baby red cell that sensitized lah with mother's punya antibody that passively transfer daripada mother, antibody, red cell antibody daripada mother yang passively transfer kepada baby. So in case kalau mother sample not available, okay, so we have to use the sample from neonate untuk antibody screening and cross matching, but this is actually not advisable. Okay, choice of blood for neonatal transfusion. Okay, daripada guideline, kita choose untuk give them the fresh blood less than 5 days, leukodepleted by filtration and also irradiated. So kenapa kita nak fresh? Sebab kalau red blood cell yang stored red blood cell usually they will have high in potassium because of storage changes kan. So because of storage dia punya red cell will be hemolyzed. So that's why dia akan releasekan banyak potassium yang menyebabkan hyperkalemia lah, yang boleh menyebabkan hyperkalemia kalau kita transfuse dekat neonate tu. Okay, effect of hyperkalemia akan menyebabkan arrhythmia kepada neonate. Okay, and then bila RBC ni, storage RBC, dia akan ada drop in the 2,3-DPG. Okay, 2,3-DPG ni kalau dia drop in stored blood akan menyebabkan increase in oxygen affinity of RBC. Maksudnya RBC tu dia suka sangat dekat oksigen tu, so dia tak nak releasekan kepada tisu. So bila kita transfuse pun tapi macam untuk baby yang anemia, so dia tak dapatlah oksigen yang sepatutnya dia receive daripada blood yang ditransfuse tu. Okay, and then possible dangers of additive present in extended storage media. Okay, then we prefer to have leukodepleted by filtration. Kenapa? Sebab bila kita filter, maksudnya kita akan remove dia punya leukocytes kan. Okay, leukocytes tu yang boleh menyebabkan febrile non-hemolytic transfusion reaction. Sebab leukocytes ni dia akan kalau dia stored, dia akan release the cytokines and also inflammatory mediators. So that's why yang kita punya neonate yang terima darah tu boleh dapat fever. Okay, and then bila kita remove the leukocyte, we can prevent the HLA alloimmunization. HLA ni berada dekat leukocyte lah. Okay, and then we can also reduce the platelet refractoriness and prevent CMV transmission. Okay, for irradiated ni dekat Johor, dekat sini kita tak buat lah, kita tak beri pada neonate sebab kita punya source pun limited. Okay, tapi kalau di pusat dan negara mereka bagi yang irradiated blood. Okay, irradiated blood ni mainly to prevent transfusion associated graft versus host disease. Sebab bila kita irradiated, kita akan kill the donor's lymphocyte. Okay. Okay, untuk paddy bags preparation, kita paddy bag we will choose donor group O RHD positive. Okay, screen red cells group O RHD positive. So before we split to prepare the paddy bags, we have to do the test of we confirm back the blood grouping lah, whether it is true memang O RHD positive, and then we also check for direct Coombs test. So we must ensure that the direct Coombs test is negative. And then for paddy bags, every paddy bags tu lebih kurang volume dia 50 to 60 ml each liquid bag. So paddy bag ni dia ada inline filtered. Masa kita asingkan tu ada filter So indirectly kita dah filter dah darah yang kita nak bagi dekat neonate. Okay, tapi sebenarnya paddy bags ni bergantung. Kalau sebenarnya dia ada yang filtered, ada yang ada filter, ada yang tak ada filter. So kalau macam di HSA ni, HSAJB, memang kita guna yang filtered punya blood bag. Okay, so 1 unit of packed cell, mother bag tu, we can produce 4 units of paddy bags, mean 1 set of paddy bag. Okay, so if the neonate we predict to have multiple transfusion, okay, so they will receive paddy bags from the same unit. Maksudnya dia punya exposure kepada donor tu satu donor sahaja. Okay, so kita reservekan untuk this baby. Kita gunakan satu set ni untuk dia. Okay, this can minimize the donor exposure and also reduce need of sampling sebab bila dia daripada pack cell yang sama atau mother bag yang sama, so we no need to do cross matching again. Okay. Okay, we go to exchange transfusion. Okay, exchange transfusion is indicated untuk case of severe hyperbilirubinemia. Sorry, dengar tak? Dengar ke? Okay. Okay. Exchange transfusion ni indicated untuk severe hyperbilirubinemia in case of hemolytic disease of newborn. Okay, hemolytic disease of newborn ni due to antibody daripada mother against the baby's red cells. So kalau bilirubin ni terlampau banyak sangat dalam darah baby, it may deposited, dia pergi dekat brain, okay, dekat brain baby dan menyebabkan brain damage. So itu yang kita panggil kernicterus. Okay, so kernicterus has 10% mortality and also 70% long-term morbidity. So mortality within 6 hours of ET, maksudnya dalam masa 6 jam selepas ET tu, mortality rate dia range from 0 deaths to 3 to 4 per 1,000 exchange term infants. So causes of deaths untuk baby yang ET ni includes kernicterus tu sendiri, necrotizing enterocolitis, infection and other procedure related events. Okay, indication of ET, exchange transfusion ni sebenarnya ada dua jenis, sama ada double volume exchange ataupun partial exchange transfusion. So untuk yang selalunya kita terima request baby yang severe NNJ tu, okay, diorang usually they will do double volume exchange, okay. This exchange is to lower the serum bilirubin and reduce the risk of brain damage associated with kernicterus. Okay, ada indication hyperammonemia to remove bacterial toxins in septicemia and also to correct life-threatening electrolytes and fluid disorder in acute renal failure. Okay, kalau partial exchange transfusion pula untuk baby yang ada polycythemia dengan hyperviscosity and also untuk correct severe anemia tapi without hypovolemia. Okay, what is our aim untuk exchange transfusion ni? Our aim adalah untuk remove the both the antibody coated red cells and also the excess bilirubin. Okay, kita nak removekan dua ni. Okay, the choice of blood for exchange transfusion, kita ada guidelines yang table ni. Okay, choice of blood for exchange transfusion, kita punya aim untuk pastikan blood yang kita bagi tu dia punya blood group ABO compatible dengan mother dan baby. Dan kita juga aim untuk bagi blood yang tak ada antibody terhadap baby punya red cells. Okay, contohnya macam group katalah kalau baby ni blood group O, okay. So despite of apa je blood group of mother, dia akan receive O blood group. Okay, kalau macam mother dia blood group O, mother blood group O, baby blood group O, kita boleh bagi group O. Okay, tapi kalau mother blood group O, baby blood group yang lain A, B atau AB, kita kena bagi emergency O. Okay, kenapa kita tak bagi O saja, okay, blood group O saja? Sebab O tu sepatutnya boleh kan, compatible je dengan A, B dan AB, okay. Tapi kita pilih emergency O. Sebab emergency O ni adalah blood group O yang anti-A dan anti-B titer dia rendah. Okay, sebab contoh kalau baby tu ada, baby tu blood group A, Okay, kalau kita bagi O yang biasa, so NTA yang dalam O packed cell tu dia boleh menyebabkan hemolysis kepada baby blood group A ni, red cell A kan. Okay, so that's why kita pilih emergency O sebab NTA dan NTB dia adalah rendah. Okay, faham yang ni? Okay, so in Malaysia emergency O kita adalah group O RHD positive whole blood, low titers of NTA and NTB dan negative for hemolysin. Okay, in case kalau kata tak ada kita tak dapat, susah juga nak dapat emergency O ni sebenarnya, okay. So kalau tak ada emergency O, kita boleh bagi O packed cell yang suspended in fresh AB plasma. Okay, kita reconstitute lah. Okay, so for yang exchange transfusion ni, contoh kalau kata dia punya HDN tu adalah disebabkan oleh NTD, okay, so we have to give ABO compatible RH negative blood, okay. And then if the mother having any antibody, contoh kalau ada anti small c, so kita kena bagi negative blood lah, antigen negative blood, okay. Contohnya kalau macam case macam ni anti small c, kita kena bagi yang antigen negative blood which is R1R1, okay. So it must be cross match compatible with mother's blood. Okay, volume untuk exchange usually untuk exchange transfusion dia orang kira 2 times 80 mils per kg. Okay. So a little bit macam mana PITS buat exchange transfusion lah. Mereka akan gunakan they use the umbilical vein to insert the umbilical catheter, and then setiap kali dia remove tu lebih kurang, remove the blood daripada neonate lebih kurang 5 to 6 ml per kg. Dia remove 5 to 6 ml per kg and then they replace with 5 to 6 ml per kg macam tu. So dia ada cycle. Okay, rate of exchange lebih kurang 3 to 4 minutes per cycle. 1 minute out, 1 minute in, lepas tu 1 to 2 minute diorang pause kejap. Okay, so lebih kurang total exchange transfusion duration sangat lama, 90 hingga 120 minit. Okay, utilize about 30 to 35 cycles. Okay, repeat exchange transfusion may be required in 6 hours kalau diorang punya baby punya serum bilirubin high rebound. Okay, this is the complication of exchange transfusion. First, due to catheter related, okay, it may be infection, hemorrhage, necrotizing enterocolitis, embolism or vascular events ataupun portal and splenic vein thrombosis. Untuk dan baby juga boleh dapat hemodynamic problem, sama ada overload cardiac failure, hypovolemic shock, arrhythmia due to catheter tip tu dekat dengan sinus node dekat right atrium tu, so baby boleh dapat arrhythmia. And then other than that boleh dapat hyperkalemia maybe because of the mechanical cause lah. Kita tarik, kita masukkan red cell tu kan, tarik and then masukkan, so that's why dia mungkin berlaku hemolysis masa tu menyebabkan hyperkalemia. And then hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia. Okay, so we go to platelet transfusion in neonate. Okay, definition untuk thrombocytopenia in neonate dia sama dengan adult which is less than 150. Tapi ada juga neonate yang healthy neonates, dia punya count dia between 100 to 150. Jadi kalau platelet less than 100, so that's why kalau platelet less than 100 kita kena investigate. Okay, this is abnormal. Okay, these are the causes of neonatal thrombocytopenia, include immune mediated, sama ada immune mediated disebabkan medication, bacterial, viral or fungal infection ataupun lain-lain. sama ada due to pregnancy induced hypertension, IUGR, intrauterine growth restriction, necrotizing enterocolitis, thrombosis or prenatal asphyxia. Okay. Okay, there is a study in 2019, mereka buat systemic review. Systemic review ni maksudnya dia tengok apa study-study yang sebelum ni mereka kumpulkan dan diorang review balik lah. Okay, daripada paper ni, one of the study that included, diorang ada buat randomized control trial. Mereka dividekan threshold of transfusion, platelet transfusion 150 punya group punya target dengan 50 platelet 50. So they found that platelet transfusion did not influence the presence of extent intraventricular hemorrhage. So despite of platelet to ditransfuse, dia tak ada influence apa-apa lah. Okay, untuk menyebabkan extend dia punya intraventricular hemorrhage. Okay, daripada paper-paper yang diorang review ni, so ada 36 eligible studies yang included. So 30 studies, they said that timing of platelet counts or transfusion in relation to bleeding is unclear. And then remaining 6 study tu dia kata 2 study kata thrombocytopenia associated with increased risk of bleeding. Another 2 study said no association between thrombocytopenia and increased risk of bleeding. Okay, another 3 studies pula dia kata lack of association between platelet transfusion dengan bleeding risk. So daripada diorang punya review, systemic review ni, they conclude that platelet transfusion do not reduce bleeding risk. Okay. So maksudnya walaupun kita transfuse platelet ni, bleeding still boleh berlaku jugalah. Okay. And then platelet, ada study in 2019 juga, platelet transfusion in the preterm infant. Okay, it is a multi-center randomized control trial. Preterm babies who develop severe thrombocytopenia, dia divide kepada threshold 25 dengan 50 threshold untuk platelet transfusion. Okay, and then bleeding was documented using validated bleeding assessment tool, and they assess their primary outcome. Okay, dia tengok mortality dengan major bleeding within 28 days. So what they found, yang threshold platelet threshold 25 punya group, okay, 19% ada major bleeding. Okay, in threshold yang 50% group, 50% sorry, yang threshold 50 platelet ni, okay, 26% of them dia menunjukkan ada major bleeding. So means that higher dekat yang threshold dia tinggi ni. Okay. So their conclusion is those randomized to receive platelet transfusion at platelet count ratio less than 50, dia punya mortality rate and also major bleeding within 28 days lagi tinggi berbanding dengan threshold less than 25. Okay, this is international guidelines untuk platelet transfusion. Okay, most of them kalau prophylactic unstable infant, dia punya target dia agak rendah sikit lah. Dia tengok lebih kurang dalam 20 hingga 25 platelet kan. Okay, tapi kalau bleeding or kalau neonate tu ada bleeding or invasive procedure, so we may target higher lah. Okay, 50 to 100 macam tu. Okay, so platelet transfusion trigger ni still lack of evidence. So macam kebanyakan pediatrician, they try to keep the platelet more than 20. Okay, so transfusion of platelet actually is not to treat the bleeding, but they give prophylactically to reduce the risk of bleeding. Okay. So ini yang saya ambil daripada kita punya guideline, okay, guideline of blood and blood product use. Okay, kalau kita tengok kat sini, transfusion of platelet consider in all neonates. So kita consider if they have increased risk of bleeding. Contohnya kalau less than 1 kg and less than 1 week of age, okay, kita aim kalau 30 tu kita dah less than 30 kita dah boleh start untuk transfuse lah. Okay, untuk patient yang clinically unstable, okay, ada previous major bleeding, okay, current minor bleeding, example ada petechiae, so we target for 50. And then we target even more higher untuk patient yang macam ada coagulopathy, plan untuk surgery, exchange transfusion or major bleeding, kita target higher 100. Okay. So this is my take home message. So kita kena ada optimal timing dan threshold untuk transfuse dekat neonate. And then restrictive transfusion guideline may be preferable. And then untuk reduce, untuk prevent anemia, we have to reduce iatrogenic blood loss. Okay, reduce the blood taking. And then to transfuse platelet if platelet less than 25. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Ada apa-apa tak?
Kita ada patient untuk buat untuk neonatal transfusion, and then the mother have rare type of antibody dan darah yang diperlukan tu memang is rare. So sepatutnya kan kita kena bagi fresh less than 5 days kan? So boleh ke kita bagi yang old age blood?
Oh, okay. So kalau untuk kes macam ni memang sebab rare tu susah kan nak dapat. So untuk kes macam ni kita terpaksa provide darah yang paling fresh lah yang kita ada. So kalau macam rare tu mungkin satu unit tu saja kita ada. So kita terpaksa juga untuk supply darah ni kepada neonate tu, tapi kena inform, kena alert the clinician lah. Kita transfuse with extra precaution. Okay, extra precaution means macam kita kena alertkan dari segi macam transfusion reaction, okay, ataupun arrhythmia sebab dia dah short blood kan, arrhythmia sebab dia hyperkalemia boleh ada arrhythmia. And then lagi satu yang short blood tu ada 2-3 DPG dia akan less kan, so mungkin menyebabkan oxygen delivery kepada baby tu pun akan reduce lah. Tapi untuk yang ni sebab kita pun aim untuk exchange, maksudnya kita keluarkan the bilirubin and also the red cell coated antibody tu kan, so terpaksa jugalah supply yang rare blood tapi not very fresh lah macam tu.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Ya.
Assalamualaikum. Boleh ke saya nak tambah sikit?
Boleh doktor.
Boleh.
Berkenaan dengan old versus fresh blood ni, ada few study lah yang berkaitan dengan fresh blood. Kalau kita tengok ada contohnya macam ABLE study, dia buat study among patient yang critically ill, patient yang duduk dekat ICU. Kalau study REP nama dia buat study among preterm baby yang very low birth weight, dan juga research study ni dia among patient yang ada cardiac disease. Bila dia buat tiga study ni, dia conclude old blood adalah as good as new blood. So kalau case rare blood dan baby tu perlukan ET, saya rasa no harm kalau kita bagi blood rare yang old blood lah, sebab dalam study yang REP tu pun kata premature very low birth weight dia punya outcome sama compare dengan kita bagi dia fresh blood. Terima kasih.
So transfusion parsial baby kata less than 5 days patutnya kita transfer kat baby kan.
Okay.
How about leukodepleted punya pedi bag? Kita 5 hari juga ke ataupun macam mana?
Oh, okay. Oh, leukodepleted packed cell tu okay, sebab okay macam ni, actually leukodepleted packed cell tu kita dapat daripada mother bag tu kan, mother bag. So dia punya expiry rate dia tu adalah sama macam mother bag, maksudnya 35 to 42 days kan. Tapi ini macam preferably kita bagi less than 5 days. Tapi kalau kat sini kat sini kita akan bagi depends on macam first in first out lah macam tu.
Sebab kalau ikutkan di HSA kita simpan 14 hari, kita ikut fresh blood supply thalassemia 14 hari. Tapi kalau tak salah, tak tahulah kalau ada yang tahulah, kalau ikut PDN dia orang akan guna ikut sehingga expired date tu.
Ya betul.
Tapi macam mana?
Saya rasa yang ni yalah kita prefer untuk bagi yang fresh, tapi bergantung pada institution tu sendirilah.